I said, hey, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. I said, hey, hey, welcome to the Man Cave Happy Hour. We're gonna drink a fine whiskey and smoke a really fine cigar.
It is time for Happy Hour, the Man Cave Happy Hour, whiskey, cigar, spirits, the stories that go along with it. I'm Jamie Flanagan.
And I'm August Skitschlag, and where's Matt Fox?
He's missing out.
He's going to miss the experience today.
We are as on location as you could possibly ever be.
Yeah, we're not even in a static booth somewhere just talking about the prime time spirit. We're a little earlier than usual for a happy hour, but we'll take it.
We got the things strapped to our shoulder, and we're ready to run. We're at the Whiskey Factory for the Detroit City Distillery. These guys are going to take us on a very, very special tour. They have a very behind-the-scenes tour. So now, if you go, we were talking to our friends at the Kentucky Bourbon Boys and talking about the
tours
curated
they do and the tours they do down there, in Kentucky.
And they said, and I was going to jump in on that and say, hey, we got a cool one coming up, but we're good.
When you're on location live.
That's it. So we got a cool one coming up with Detroit City Distillery. We're going to go in. We're going to go to the barrels. We're going to taste the White Dog, and it's going to be cool. And so that's it. So Detroit City Distillery has a new tour that you can take, and it's called the Bespoke Tour. And it's more than just here's how it's made, because a lot of people who are into bourbon have done that.
Right. They've all
got that story. We know the fermentation process. We see it coming out of the still. So the Bespoke Tour is a little deeper. It's a little deeper dive, and we're going to go very deep into the factory here. Garrett's going to lead us around. It's going to be a show. So Spenser and Jennifer are here. They're taking pictures. They're helping with the audio, and we're going to work our way through the tour. And I'm looking forward to it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, we're getting ready to jump into the tour. Garrett is here to take us through. Garrett, so when people come in, you give them a little nickel history of Detroit City Distillery, and this is where it kicks off. So what do people get when they come in here?
So when they come in here, they're basically astounded by the fact that you have a warehouse here in Eastern Market in the city of Detroit with tons and tons of barrels scattered all over the place. So who is Detroit City Distillery? How did we get here? How did we end up in an old vacant Stroh's ice cream factory? All right, take a small trip back in time. You had 8 friends that have known each other since the age of 3 out of a small town called Bath, Michigan, right outside of our nation's capital, Lansing, right outside Lansing. Yep. And long story short, when you have a small town, it's tough to buy liquor underage because chances are, me knowing myself, go to that liquor store and they say, I was just at your graduation party. I know that this is not you. Come back when you're 21.
McLovin, sorry, not today.
Not gonna work. Yeah. So what they did is they kind of pivoted and they went ahead and said, let's make our own moonshine.
Hey.
Ever hear about these individuals in Bourbon County, Kentucky, all right, that made moonshine and eventually turned that into bourbon. So behind their parents' back, they went ahead and what they call, I believe, jailhouse hooch.
Yeah.
Grapes, yeast, sugar, water. Literally going ahead and making moonshine in their clubhouses, tree houses, etc.
I love that the first one blew up in Mike's bedroom.
It did, yeah. So they were doing closed fermentation, putting those caps on there.
Oops.
Blew up. They all got busted.
Yeah, that happened.
Yep. So that's what happened. And no pun intended, that's the spirit what eventually drove them to make a distillery. First plan was to go ahead and make a brewery, because that's what was hot about 15 years ago.
Right,
We're celebrating our nine-year birthday in about 2-3 weeks in September.
Wow. Okay.
We're a young distillery. We have a young product, but it's award-winning. We'll talk about that a little bit later, about the process of why we keep winning all those double gold award medals in Kentucky, the San Francisco Spirits Contest. It's a really, really great product as far as Michigan climate and the way that we store everything is you're going to see. So,
all right, so these are the stills here, right?
Yep, these are the stills.
Put it this way.
Yep.
Sorry.
So once Butcher's Cut Bourbon,
Yeah.
right, that was our first flagship, started winning all those awards. They're only doing a 50-gallon copper pot still over there. Starts flying off the shelf.
Yeah.
It's an award-winning recipe. As you know, as bourbon fans, you can't outsource an award-winning recipe.
Yeah.
All the pieces fell together. They literally walked across the street here, threw in a 500-gallon Vendome Brass and Copper Works.
That's pretty. That is pretty.
County, Kentucky. And then just recently this year, I believe in January, they put in an alembic still. So that's the old school style. That's a column hybrid. What's the difference between the two? That kind of speeds it up, all right? Gets it all on the first run over there. That's a low wine that you see right there. That's like first or second run.
Okay.
An alembic still is going to give you more funky flavors.
All right.
Okay, so that's kind of what I describe as, that's grandma's crock pot.
Okay.
This is your Cuisinart pressure cooker.
Fair play. All right.
Yep.
Cool. So
What's the difference between the two?
yeah.
Again, a little bit more labor intensive, but the quality of that actual funkiness comes out, as I call it. So.
All right.
Yep.
So what are we looking at right here? This has been run
The low wine?
Yep.
This is hearts from how many times?
This looks like, and I can't speak 100% to this JPR Distillery, but this is not the finished product. Go ahead and take a whiff of this.
That's what I was getting at. Because how far along we are here.
I mean, I can get a straw for you, but that's not going to be.
No, I'm not
the
going to like that.
So the reason, too, this is interesting, is why it has this blue color. We get a lot of individuals that say, why is it blue? I call this penny Statue of Liberty blue.
All right.
So it's the copper effect coming off of.
Oh, okay.
So if you notice that,
Ooh.
so not just our distillery, any distillery, when you're all the acidity that's coming off of that copper pot, it's going to turn it come like that light blue color.
All right. What's with the Windex?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Exactly,
Same
yeah.
thing.
Someone always says, is that just sterilizer sitting waiting? Nope.
Yeah.
That's going to be a first or second run low wine, as they call it. So,
Right on.
and the term LW.
Okay.
You got it.
I like it.
Then what we do after that is I kind of run through the distillation process at Detroit City Distillery.
Okay.
Nickel and dime, super quick.
Yeah. All right. So the next step is a quick run through the distillation.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you come on a Bespoke tour, of course, you get that little bit of history of Detroit City Distillery. Also, would be an injustice to not tell you about the old Stroh's ice cream factory. All right. So Stroh's Brewing Company used to be down the street. They had to pivot during Prohibition. This was a competitor storage warehouse for those of you out there that remember Goebbels or Jobels.
Jobel. Fine.
Exactly. Yes. I think they say the rumor is it's Goebbels when you buy the six-pack and it's Jobels after you finish the six-pack. All right. But what they ended up doing is during Prohibition, Jobels, goes ahead and evacuates the warehouse. Stroh's decides to go ahead and pivot and make ice cream. So they kept the brewery over there. Rumor has it, not 100% official, but you can fact check. Rumor has it Stroh's is the first one to make an NA beer. It was called Almost Beer. So they wanted to keep their vats here, pivot and make money by making ice cream here in the old Stroh's ice cream factory.
Right on.
How long did this place sit empty before you guys took it over?
I want to say the 60s?
Whoa.
I remember driving past this building for all my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing the big
Yeah.
sign. It's so cool you guys kept it there too.
Maybe, I could fact check too. I want to say, officially, I believe Milwaukee Brewing Company bought Stroh's Brewing Company in the early 90s. Google it, make fun of me if I am
No,
wrong.
because I remember I had kids I went to school with who had to go to Tennessee, so it was like 88, 87.
So it was still in the production over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
So that being said, Butcher's Cut Bourbon, that's a fun fact too. Grandpa Yogi, who's on the cover of the Butcher's Cut Bourbon, used to be a butcher and a bootlegger in Eastern Market after the World War II period. And Stroh's Ice Cream, rumor has it, when they were making those ice cream syrups, it was legal to make syrups, elixirs, and tonics 3.8% ABV, alcohol by volume or lower, for the purposes of medicine.
Oh, medicinal only. You can get a prescription.
For medicinal purposes only.
Well, that's all I drink for.
One of my
Yeah.
favorite
I am
movies.
medicated.
Robin and the Seven Hoods. Check it out.
So what do we have behind us here?
So what you have behind here, these are all aged barrels right here. Okay? Most of them Crow's Nest Cooperage, 4-time charred American oak right outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan. Sorry. And then over here is where we start the distillation process.
All right.
All right?
Bring it around.
Andre the Giant keeps an eye on things. So we call that mash tank right there Andre. That's a 2,000-gallon mash tank. Believe it or not, they were super excited. That is a full 2-scale.
That's how big
he was. Yeah, exactly. So when you come on the tour, you're going to have a lot of individuals that are getting excited about bourbon, and that people that have been studying bourbon, having fun for lots of years. But what I always like to do, really quickly, Whiskey 101 class. We have individuals that say, what's the difference between bourbon and whiskey, rye, whiskey, scotch? It's too convoluted, super simplistic. Whiskey's the top tier term. Under whiskey, you have bourbon, whiskey, rye, whiskey. Whiskeys are defined by their grains.
Right.
So rye primarily rye grain, rye whiskey, bourbon primarily corn grain, It's called bourbon whiskey, invented in Bourbon County. So if someone asks you what's the difference between bourbon and whiskey, you say bourbon is a kind of whiskey. So just always remember that top tier term.
Scotch is a kind of whiskey.
Scotch is a kind of whiskey. Yeah, mostly like barley, a little bit peated,
right?
Like that.
Disgusting, personally, I think, but I don't like that smoke water and the moss water. I like my rye and my bourbons instead.
Exactly. So you'd be more of a Highland Scotch drinker.
That would be, yes.
Exactly.
I don't experiment with that. I'm like what I have here.
Exactly.
And I also like to put down that rumor that you can't call it bourbon unless it's made in Kentucky.
Exactly.
That's garbage. Kentucky tries to pull that off. They had their legislature pass rules to say you can't call it bourbon. There's no enforcement of that.
They call it American whiskey, but by law, technically, Senator John C. Watts in Congress, I believe in 1977, declared bourbon as an American whiskey, so it can be made in all 50 states.
Yeah, but you hear that every once in a while. You can't call it bourbon unless it's made in Kentucky.
You know what that is?
You're making great bourbon here.
For us local Detroiters, that's like saying Coney dogs can't be made anywhere but Detroit. It's a hot dog, onion, chili, and mustard. Yeah. Bourbon's going to be corn, rye, barley, sometimes wheat.
The recipe, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
So the water. I've always found that the wood is so important, and then the water too. So this is Detroit water out of the taps.
Yeah. So originally, why bourbon always claimed the fame to have great tasting bourbon is because Bourbon County, Kentucky has the biggest limestone naturally filtrated river system in the 48 continental United States. All right, let's go back to the late 1700s, early 1800s. That's true. 2023, and even way back, you've got technology now.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we do is we use Great Lakes water. And then what we do is a charcoal filtration system, all right, that filters it to bring it to that same pH level that Bourbon County, Kentucky does with the natural water flow.
Yeah, but it's Michigan water.
Yeah. Michigan water, boom, ran through, charcoal filtrated. If you did a water sample taste test of Bourbon County, Kentucky, and the way that we do it, it's almost, couldn't even tell the difference.
Right.
All right. So that's what we do. Does Bourbon County, Kentucky win on the natural water? The answer is yes, of course.
Yeah.
All right. Great Lakes water, however, comes in from Lake St. Clair, Port Huron. It gets naturally recycled almost every 2 weeks from the water flow. So Detroit water sometimes gets a bad rap, but Michigan water, Great Lakes water is one of the purest in the country.
We've been calling Canadian Club Detroit River Whiskey since I was a little kid.
Love it. Where to next?
All right, so what we're going to do when you're making whiskey, our bourbon in general, we were talking about every single style of whiskey. This would last about 2 weeks. We should do that sometime, just go on a conference.
Sure. All right.
Literally, when you're making whiskey, bourbon by law has to be at least 51% corn, aged only once in a new charred American oak barrel, okay? There's an unofficial rule, because distillation is almost like cooking. Unofficial rule that a lot of distillers have, they're like chefs of whiskey, should be at least 5% rye, and at least 5% barley. Reason being is that rye and barley create flavor enzymes that corn can't. So we've all probably had 100% corn whiskey.
Yeah.
It's fun, but it's not as fun as bourbon. So if you think about that, you've got at least 51% corn by law, and then by distiller's preference, at least 5% rye, at least 5% barley. That leaves a 39% wheelhouse for a distiller to make their bourbon unique. That's why there's no such thing as a wrong bourbon. That's why we enjoy all these different styles of bourbons that Jennifer and I were talking prior to. All right? Now, what makes ours unique, our mash bill is 68% corn, 27% rye, 5% barley. High corn, a little bit high on the rye, minimum barley. Our JP, our master distiller, he's got a PhD in microbiology, so he knows what's going on. With that mixture, you go ahead and put the White Lightning into, that's distilled, into a barrel. Bourbon County, Kentucky. You go down there, summers and springs, very hot and humid. Falls and winters, very mild. So it takes 4 years for that barrel to go ahead and do this. Now, you're in the Midwest, especially Michigan. I make the joke, it's 90 degrees yesterday, it's 40 degrees in the morning, and then in December, it's 70 degrees. April, there's a frost advisory warning. So our climate is so volatile, Mother Nature speeds up that process in the aging. Hence, Bourbon County, Kentucky judges in blind taste testing contests going, oh shit, did we just vote for
a Detroit whiskey?
A Detroit whiskey, and hence all the medals. And I think Michael actually went down and he got booed over the phone or in person. But everyone was just like, boo.
Yeah.
Again, it's like Detroit losing it. It's like Detroit losing a Coney Dog contest in Detroit to Bourbon County, Kentucky. We beat Bourbon County, Kentucky from Detroit. So how do we make that? It looks complicated with all of this system, but literally what you're doing when you're making a bourbon is you're making an oatmeal, then you're going to brew beer, and then you're going to put that beer into a copper pot still, boil that up, and evaporate the ethanol to make moonshine. If that sounds complicated, it's not. When I say you're making oatmeal, you literally are, in our case, 1,600 pounds of 68% corn, 27% rye, 5% barley. Heating that up to about 140 degrees, letting that sit for a couple hours, boom, you have oatmeal. All right? It's a corn, rye, barley oatmeal. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to take those hoses and you're going to go put that into the mash tank. You're going to add yeast and water. Those are the magic ingredients, which creates a little bit of sugar. You're going to let that sit for about 5 to 6 days, I believe, and that's going to brew beer. Open fermentation, that's why when you walk into any breweries or distilleries, it's going to have that bakery yeast beer smell almost, all right?
Absolutely.
Just like Canadian Club. I used to live on the water and it comes through.
Yep.
My better half at the time used to say, are you baking bread? I'm like, nope, that's Canadian Club.
Whiskey across the river, folks.
Exactly, yep. So it forms like that. It's going to form a crust. Underneath that, you're going to have about 750 gallons of what they call a distiller's grog. That's an 8 to 10% ABV, alcohol by volume. Kind of not taste so good beer, but it gets the job done. It's almost like a flat, high-gravity Guinness. That's how I describe it.
Okay.
And then, so Game of Thrones, Vikings and Pirates on the Discovery Channel, when they're slamming back grog, that's exactly what it is. Distiller's mead, distiller's grog. Next thing we're going to do, I'm going to take you over to the still and explain what happens when you put that distilled beer into the still. Again, we're going to evaporate and moonshine. If it sounds complicated, trust me, I have the easiest analogy because most of us do it every single day. So.
All right.
So now we're at that big Kentucky copper pot you were showing us when we first walked in. And now this is where we take the oatmeal?
Yep. Well, no, the oatmeal has been brewed into beer.
Right. Oh, and the beer comes over here.
Yes, then you're going to put the beer in here. Now, what you're doing here is you're going to cook this up to about 180 to about 190 degrees. You're going to do some run. Reason being is that ethanol boils at a lower temperature than water does. Water's at 212. Ethanol starts boiling up around 180 to 190 degrees. Now, the ethanol is going to get trapped at the top, and then we're going to cool that down with water.
Run water through the copper coils that are inside there. Right?
So that's going to cool down the evaporation, and then it's going to turn back into liquid form. Here's that analogy I promised you. If it sounds complicated, look at it like this. When we step out of the shower in the morning, we walk over to the mirror, wipe the mirror to go ahead and see, how we look. What's on your hand? Condensated water. That's because the steam from the shower hit a cooler temperature and turned back into liquid form. Distillers, however, have a lot more fun because when they heat up ethanol, pop this open, a big steam cloud comes out that looks like a ghost or a spirit. All right.
There we go.
And then it goes ahead and they cool it down, and then that's where you get your low wines eventually turning into the white lightning. Super simplistic thing. All you're doing is making beer, heating it up in a giant tea kettle.
Okay.
Evaporating the steam, catching it, and then turning it back into moonshine.
All right.
After that, this is where we store most of our barrels, okay? Is this the only place that we store our barrels? The answer is no. I'm going to show you a super, super cool spot. Not only is this the premier whiskey factory in the city of Detroit, it's also the premier event venue.
Yes.
Weddings are booked all the way up until, 2024.
I've DJ'd a couple weddings here.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. It's a riot.
Jamie, you know.
I know.
Do you guys want to go check it out real quick before we sneak downstairs?
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
It's a gorgeous space.
Let's do it.
So we're upstairs now, and this is the event space. How many people can this accommodate? How big of a party can you throw?
So you can throw, it does 200 seated, 250 strolling.
All right.
That means, once the tables come up and the party starts, you can go ahead. But this has been again, not only are we the premier whiskey factory in the city, we're also the premier event venue.
It really is. It really it's. I've done a couple weddings here, available for yours, and no, they've been great. It's just it's such a cool spot.
It's amazing. Yeah. So you see it empty here. Our events management team, probably one of the best in the city. All right. They always on point. What they do is they'll be able to flip this. It looks like a very, very kind of rustic, elegant style venue. Yeah. In my opinion, one of the coolest spots that you can go ahead and get married at, have a company party at, that kind of thing. So, and it's an open palette. I've seen DJs there, bands there. You can pretty much do whatever you want with it.
So you've had during COVID, where you weren't able to, weddings were off. You did like some cocktail nights. You were doing some well spaced out cocktail nights.
Social distance drinking. Yes.
Well, is that over? Are those
That's
over?
Yeah. Because the whole reason we did that is when you had that regulation that bars had to be at, I forget the percentage, 50%, 20% capacity. If you go over to our tasting room, that would be like, so we can have 8 people here.
Right.
So when weddings, got kind of postponed, they did not get canceled, most of them. Yeah. They kind of went ahead. I learned the term mini-moni, which means people are having 10-person mini-monis like in people's houses, and then they save their spot to go ahead and have reception wedding parties here.
Later,
exactly. So those are 2 filled up. But when you bar closed down, they're like, what do we do?
Oh, okay.
No weddings, no bar. Let's make this a cocktail lounge that's socially distanced and spread apart.
I kind of half wish it still happened because that was cool as heck too, But weddings are.
It had a buzz. There was a buzz about it.
You guys do a little something now and again, though.
Every now and then, yeah. I mean, we have some. Once a month, sometimes we have like drinking and yoga up here, but they do have like some small spaced out events. But with just the popularity of the event space, it's wedding, corporate party. Yeah. It's a good problem to have. It keeps everyone busy. So
let's take a walk back to this cool bar you got in the back.
Yeah, let's see the bar.
Let's get the story about
check it out.
Is there a story on the bar?
Oh yeah,
always
a story about.
There's a story on everything in here.
That's right.
Here's the teaser. It wasn't here during the Stroh's days.
Okay.
Well, this had to be whatever saloon this was in was big because this is a lot.
This is a lot of real estate here.
Yeah,
so in the tasting room, there's a very cool bar, and I'll put the link in the show notes to the episode we did. We did an episode from the tasting room, and we got that story there. So what's the story on this fella?
Story on this bar is amazing. Again, I've been bartending in the city for over 15 years, maybe going on 20 because time flies. Yeah. Every bar has a story. This is one of my favorite. Number one question I get on tours is, so was this the Stroh's Ice Cream Factory bar? And the answer is no. This has been here since we've taken over. Okay. All right. Lots of stories go back and forth. Finally, I figured out the general story of this bar is Michael got an email from a woman kind of in her late 90s that said, my late husband is super excited that you guys went ahead and took over the Stroh's Ice Cream Factory. Be my honor to go ahead and just donate his bar out of his carriage house right over there in Indian Village. Oh. Only terms and condition is you have to come get it.
Isn't that always it? Yeah, it's free.
Tons
but you
of trips down Jefferson from kind of Indian Village area to here, separated. If you look behind it, it literally looks like some teenagers went ahead and built a tree house, a bunch of 2x4s with the drills. So this is actually where it came from. No pun intended, but it's literally a carriage house man cave bar.
Oh, wow. So, this is a hell of a man cave.
Like the 1920s.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Yeah, and I believe it was acquired from the 1960s at a bar that closed down in southwest Detroit in the Delray neighborhood.
Okay. So. All right. Dang. That is a
gorgeous. I want to say a year ago, some of the friends and family of the original owners came in for a tour so they could come and see it and do that whole nostalgic, take pictures by it,
sure.
et cetera.
It does have the characteristics of an original Stroh's bar. When Stroh's would buy the bar, as long as you didn't sell Goebbels, they would buy your bar and put it together for you and give you your back bar. So these same characteristics with the molding on top, the arches, the lighting that's above it, that's all. So it could be an original Stroh's bar, but it could be a Schlitz bar.
Right.
It could be any of them. Whoever put that in that downriver saloon at the time.
Yeah.
But it's that old Detroit German craftsmanship.
That's a good point because I have to find out from someone like Michael, what happened to the mirror? Was it a big Goebbels Stroh's, Schlitz, Mir.
It could have been neutral, but it would have gone there.
That's interesting.
So where do we go next?
This is the fun part. This is where we go down to the Bespoke Bar, and we've got some
of the special stuff.
Yep, this is where the special stuff is.
We can only show you so much of this, folks. You got to come on the tour yourself to see all of it.
But we get to taste it.
But we get to sneak in there a little bit.
So the purpose behind the Bespoke Bar we're about to go is I did a bunch of research. When people say Bespoke Bar, by the way, word bespoke, it's got lots of meanings, but generally if you look up the word bespoke, it means very private or like limited, etc. So that's why you see in a lot of different bottles, bespoke version, bespoke this.
Gotcha.
What I decided to do is go ahead and make a bespoke tour. So Thursday nights, limited 20 people at tops. You get to go where no individuals go before. Now, when you have a lot of people that say, oh, I've got a speakeasy bar, you tend to walk into it, super elaborate, it's pricey. Original speakeasy bars during Prohibition, you had to sneak down a tunnel. You had to go into a cage, and you had to have your bar on wheels in case the feds or the police showed up. So I went ahead and kind of mimicked that idea. Us here at Detroit City Distillery, me, Michael, the distilling guys, we all put this together.
So you're saying there's an easy way out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of. If the police do show up, we can close the cage doors, wheel away the bar, and hide behind the grain bags.
Okay.
So
there you go.
You're basically going to take a tour into what you had to sneak into during Prohibition, during the speakeasy days.
I love this.
So take a look.
Let's go.
Guys ready?
Yeah.
All right.
So we're out here on the loading dock, right?
Yep.
Just the same loading dock you saw. My car's parked right there. I wouldn't know anything different. Your car's right there, Jamie.
Yeah.
We're just here on the loading docks of the ice cream shop.
Sure.
The original ice cream shop.
Exactly.
Right. And this is where the magic's going to start to happen?
Yeah, this is where the magic starts to happen. So the reason I always chose, this is where, when you come on the Bespoke tour, not to spoil it, but you meet on a dock, which is exactly what you would do way back in the day, except it wouldn't be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Or
It might have been.
Or might have been.
It might have
Yeah,
been.
you never know. Always wanted to do it by dark. You wanted to speak easy about it. All right, that's what speak easy means. Just keep it hush-hush. But what you do is you come to the docks right here. Everyone kind of meets. All right, have your cigar. And then what you would do is you went ahead and looked, made sure that the police weren't around. And that's when you went ahead and you sneak into, go under that tunnel and go to that, crawl over some bags of grain, etc. So it was always hidden. Again, you're going to see 2 full-time employees down there, by the way. Corn Cob and Lady Macbeth.
Okay.
All right, those are cats. It is not uncommon for distilleries to have cats. I went to Jack Daniels. They have about 27 cats, I believe. Cats keep everything except for cats out of the space. So
Nice.
you got a lot of grains. You got a lot of stuff going on.
Security cats.
Security cats.
cats.
Exactly.
All right.
So I always tell individuals, if you can spot them, they're very shy. It's a very rare moment. Snap a picture of them.
Okay. All right.
Well, let's sneak in through the docks.
You guys ready?
Let's get in.
Now, it looks like we're going to be walking into the dark. Trust me, the lights will pop on.
Okay.
So.
All right. All right.
And 1, 2, and 3.
Hey.
There it is. Oh, look, more barrels.
Oh.
Now, not all of this is bourbon, is it?
Nope, you got some fun. Well, this is all bourbon.
This is all bourbon here? Okay.
Yeah, this is all
Because you
bourbon.
make a lot more than bourbon. I thoroughly enjoy your vodka and your gin.
We make gins and vodka. That's the difference between clear and dark spirits.
Right.
Is clear spirits come right off the still. Dark spirits age. So this is going to be our rye, our 4-grain bourbon, and our butcher's cut bourbon, along with some concepts.
Okay.
Now, this is the fun part. Again, the public doesn't normally get to see this.
So, what are people coming in on the Bespoke tour get this?
What's that?
People coming in on the Bespoke tour are going to get this. All right.
Yep. Here's a little teaser. I'll let you guys do like a little bit of a thing. I don't want to spoil it for anyone signing up.
No, heck no.
Come on in, folks.
Oh.
It's like Dexter's Laboratory.
All right. Those are cases and cases. They're ready to go.
Yep, cases and cases ready to go. All right, this is the fun and cool, like one of the best parts. So you look back, you're going down to like a speakeasy bar. What's it look like? Absolutely nothing. So it's hidden, etc. Fun part about it is you're upstairs, if you notice, you're going to have that bread smell, that brewing smell. Come down here, you start taking a whiff, you're smelling oak, you're smelling aged whiskey.
Yeah, on the platform there, I was really getting the bread when you opened the door. We came in on the platform at first, and now, it's a different aroma down here.
Exactly.
It's nice.
So this is your age.
Temperature stays this temperature probably year round, right? That's the whole idea.
Kind of. Sometimes it's 100% hot and humid, and then it's freezing. So those barrels are doing this.
Your
exactly.
expansion and contraction.
So unclimate
That's
controlled.
Right. The good version of saying Michigan gets 4 seasons in a week.
Exactly. So here's what you would do back in the day. You kind of sneak by.
It's an interesting floor, this brick.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty cool.
Light comes on. So imagine way back in the day, sneaking down to a real speakeasy bar.
Uh-huh.
Might twist your ankle climbing over
Climbing
a pallet.
over some pallets. You got to make it hard for I'm sorry, not the bad guys, the police to get to you, too.
Exactly.
I love there's a mini bike. There's nothing that says Detroit neighborhood like a mini bike.
That's how you get out of here fast.
3,
huh?
yeah.
Oh, my God.
So if you've been to the bar over there, during Saturdays or during busy times, when the production individuals have to get back and forth, hop on one of those. If there's heavy traffic, sometimes it could take a half hour to get there and back.
Mm-hmm.
Takes them 5 minutes.
Yeah, there you go.
Zip through traffic, yeah.
So it's not uncommon to see the Detroit City Distillery production guys ripping through like a little mini moped gang.
Because there's a small still over there, correct?
Yeah, 50 gallon.
And is that guy still running and still producing?
They'll run that. They'll run that on like specialty gins.
Okay.
But primarily, it's kind of there just to show this is where we got our start.
Okay.
Look where we're at now, which you guys saw upstairs. So.
All right.
You know, it's been a solid hour since we've had a drink. That's really rare for us on the Man Cave Happy Hour.
I think it is.
I'm really glad you guys came down here because you're in the right spot.
All right.
Now, what I want to do real quick is, unless you guys want to stay here and sample everything, but what I want to do is I want to show you our White Dog Lightning.
Okay.
All right.
Let's do that.
Now, I'm going to give you a little small pinch of that. It's not because I'm being stingy. It's because I'm your friend.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. I know what I'm getting into here. So
Exactly.
I don't. So.
You don't? Oh, well, welcome to White Lightning.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
White Lightning. So basically, this is your 120 proof White Lightning.
I think Jennifer should sit down for this.
Gotcha. Come on and have a seat if you'd like.
You should be seated while this happens.
Yeah.
It is very clear.
It doesn't look blue anymore.
The blue is gone. The blue is
The
gone.
blue is gone.
Yes.
All
I
right.
don't know if you can hear me through this right there.
Yeah.
So this is after the blue is gone.
So after the blue is gone, what you're then going to do is you're going to go ahead and sample right there.
Yeah, it's going to take your nose hairs off.
Is it?
So they're already singed.
Oh, boy.
If you're looking for a drink, you will be all set after one glass of this.
So anyone drinking this by the glass is in trouble.
I mean, do you drink it by the glass?
No. You just drink
This is what they used to do way back in the day.
Is it fruity at all?
It's sweet. And when I say sweet, I mean like that's where the corn prevalent is going to come out.
Yeah, you can feel it on the sides.
I'm not going to be able to taste anything for about 2 hours. It's going to, yeah.
But it has another taste, and I can't.
It does have a little candy aspect.
I was going to say like a candy apple coating, but without any of the red
I was gonna say rock
connotations
candy.
or
Yep.
Candy?
yeah, rock candy, rock.
Pop rocks.
Pop rocks. Oh.
We're
Well, that
floating,
was 7 up and then
floating the
you blow
ABV
up.
here. See what the specific gravity we're looking
Exactly.
at here, huh?
So just to show you how precise distillation can be, that's what they call a hydrometer. Hydrometer is going to show you the percentage of alcohol. Flip it around, shows you the proof. So shoot it right in there. And once it stops bobbing, you'll see right there, that is at 60% alcohol. Flip this around, let it settle for a little bit afterwards. 120 proof.
Yeah.
There is a chemistry behind it.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
And is that your goal? The 120 coming
Yep,
out?
that's the goal, the 120, yep. Sometimes it'll be a little hotter, add more heat to it, but that's generally what you do.
I have never had this.
What's your first White Lightning pre-barreled?
Well, if it's your first one, there you go.
Yeah.
Down the hatch.
Yeah, no. Big crawling.
You wouldn't be crawling home. I wouldn't let you do that. Exactly.
Yeah, mini bike.
Mini bikes.
I'm enamored with the mini bikes.
What we do on the Bespoke Tour is we've had White Lightning, then we've got a young 2023, then a 2021, and then a 2019.
So we got a 23, a 21, and a 19 barrel around us here.
Exactly. So what I'm going to do with you folks, if we went ahead and went through all of them, probably like another half hour, unless you guys got time. All right, folks, so this is what we're going to do. That's my microphone. We're good.
Yeah, you're still.
So what we're going to do is, this is the part of the Bespoke Tour, is we're going to thieve out some samples.
Okay.
So we sampled the White Dog Lightning. Now what we're going to do, we're going to see what White Lightning tastes like a couple months in. So this is about 6 months in.
Okay.
All right. So again, fun fact, they call this a thieve because what you would do way back in the day when you're sneaking into speakeasies, of course, other than risking your life, these things weigh about 550 to 600 pounds. So you can't steal these. So what you would do is sneak down into the rick house. So this is the experience that you get. Let me go ahead. Bust that open, hoping Old Man Distiller doesn't go ahead and hear that. And then you stick the thieve in to steal
All right.
the bourbon or the moonshine. So if you guys want to pass your glasses over.
Yeah.
All right, I'm in. I'm up.
All right, so that was White Dog Lightning unaged. That's been sitting there for about 6 months.
Okay.
It already has
Look at the
that
color.
light caramel color, yeah?
Yep.
There it is.
The aroma, yeah, there's already a different
Now, do you
aroma
proof
to it.
this down when you barrel it?
Yep, we do.
You proof you with water?
Yep.
Yeah.
So you're proofing that down. So notice the hue is already changed. Hue meaning the color. Take a sip of that. It's going to be, like you said, with the White Dog Lightning, it's going to be a little bit more sweet. So that's just 6 months old.
But
It's a
that
whole
butcher cut
different-
personality's coming through.
Exactly.
It's seeping. Very slow.
It's a whole
I
different
like that. It is seeping.
Yeah.
experience with that.
Yes.
It tastes a little caramel.
That's a cool old thief. I have just a simple plastic wine thief I use when I'm testing my wines out. I make wine at home, so that's a nice one. I got to find one of those on eBay or something.
Shoot it on Amazon.
Amazon. Get a good
it'll
copper
be there
one.
in 2 days.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's not that vintage.
What's that?
It's not that vintage. It's from the Bezos collection.
Actually, you know what? I don't want to.
The Bezos collection.
I don't want to underplay Steve-O's. One of these is, I believe, pretty vintage.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think this one is. I think because this was just in the drawer. I think the actual vintage one is hiding somewhere up in we have little.
As it probably should be. Yeah.
Exactly.
Probably should be.
Yeah.
So normally on the Bespoke Tour, all right, what you're going to do is you're going to go through this barrel. You're going to go through this barrel. I'm going to sneak you in a little bit of aged rye.
Ooh.
But very end is how you conclude, is you're going to see how it went from White Dog Lightning. I won't hit you, Jennifer, I promise. How it transitions into, which is probably one of our greatest single barrel bourbons that we have right here, the 2019.
Okay.
Okay? So we're all going to go ahead and sample that. Definitely rinse your glass out with some water.
So what did 2019? You said is what made this special? Just
in the climate.
the magic that came through on.
Magic. Yep.
All right.
So this is a Crow's Nest Cooperage. This is our original coopery, 4-time charred American oak, made from Barrel Joe.
All right.
Get ready. Everyone loves this. And for
Nice.
some odd reason, this one is the
And rinse mine.
least full. We don't know what that is, if you know what I mean.
Get water in there.
Oh,
I got you.
Thank
I
you.
got you, Jamie.
thank you.
So while I crack this open, where can our Bespoke Tour guests, where can they find you? Where can they listen?
Any.
Well, any wherever your fine podcasts are sold. Mind Cave Happy Hour is available on iTunes, on Spotify, on Pocket Cast.
The videos on YouTube and on Facebook.
Beautiful.
Just Man Cave Happy Hour.
Man Cave Happy Hour.
Man Cave Happy Hour.
Find you
Mhm.
guys. Yeah.
Now, how do our listeners find the Bespoke Tour?
Bespoke Tour, DetroitCityDistillery.com. Click on visit. Automatically pops up. Come sneak in with us.
Okay.
Come sneak in with us.
We
Okay.
do it year round.
What's that?
Year round?
Year round every Thursday.
Thursday.
And then this is a teaser trailer. We might start expanding them a little bit more.
Okay.
Right?
Well, if it gets popular, you got to make more, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
that's
if
the plan.
if it's booking up, heck.
So I got to. You guys will do it in case to fill in. So I'm going to need some help. So, Jamie, you guys are all going to do it too.
Sure. Absolutely.
Our tour guides.
I can give tours.
I can.
Awesome.
Put you on the spot.
I will. I'll do it. I'm retiring next year. I need a part-time job.
We'll just rewatch this and do it.
Right.
That's right.
I'm like, Jamie, I'm sick on Thursday. I can't do it.
Cool. And scene.
All right, folks.
All right.
Here's the most difficult part of the tour. All right. Now I'm going to
The end. The end of it? That's the most difficult part?
Yeah.
That's when the tears come.
We're going to do a 2019 Butcher's Cut. I'm going to thieve it out. I'm going to put it in your glass. You can't sip, you can't smell, you can't do anything until I tell you to. So it's going to be tempting.
So
There's rules.
Rules.
I don't know if I can handle rules.
Drinking and rules. Ugh.
I thought they were going to say getting the bunghole out without breaking it.
The bunghole. You're a bunghole.
Wow. He's drinking and now he's calling you names.
We're going double. Okay.
Because it's afternoon, so we can go double. We recorded this earlier in the day than normal.
I'm going to tell you to waste a little bit on your hands, but trust me, it's not a waste.
Do we get to lick it off? Oh, sorry. Never mind.
I mean, afterwards you can do whatever you want.
Welcome to the podcast, Jennifer.
Jen, grab that. Grab Spencer's.
Oh, Spencer, get the cameraman. This is what that white lightning will do to you when you have a little white lightning this early in the day.
Apparently, I should have it every morning before work. I mean, yes.
Jennifer, do you mind grabbing me my not as cool as yours glass?
I do, but then I'm feeling worse every time you say that.
It's your special glass.
For a special friend.
I can see how you say this is the hardest part. It's like it's 3 feet away from me, and I'm just like, I want.
You still have to
Right.
and you can't sip it yet.
We can just look at the pretty color.
So, we did White Dog Lightning. We just sampled out of 2023. Check out 2019.
Okay. Simon says we're waiting for directions.
Right.
All right, so what you want to do is kind of step up to the barrel with me.
All right.
Come on, guys.
We put this here. We don't want angels stealing from that. It's called an angel.
The angel's cut
Yeah.
and the devil's cut.
Angel, Yep, we know angel.
Devil's cut leaking out right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guitar.
All right, so lots of whiskey drinkers get that connotation that all whiskey is the same. I hate whiskey, blah, blah, blah. That's normally your individual that goes to like a bachelor or bachelorette party or a wedding and is forced to kick down.
Oh, I got sick on Jack Daniels on spring break. I can never drink whiskey again.
It's funny you say that. Jack Daniels was my first drink. I mixed it with Gatorade.
Oof.
My
harsh.
buddy used to do Southern Comfort and Mountain Dew.
Yep.
That was his high school drinking drink. I'm like,
What the hell are we thinking?
That's what Mountain Dew is made for.
Well, look at those Prohibition drinks. The bad booze was always mixed with the sugariest water you could, so you could stomach it.
Exactly.
So later on, I learned that he was just trying to stomach booze. Right? Masking with all the sugar, all the squirt and Mountain Dew he could. So, okay.
All right, so what you want to do is you want to open up your palate. All right, there's 3 tests. They used to do this way back in the day in the speakeasy days. So what you would do is come down here, all right, and to make sure that you weren't getting like hoodwinked or anything by like someone that says, "Oh yeah, I've got real whiskey. Give me what price maybe like $10 back in the day or like 50 cents, who knows?" All right. What you would do is you would pour some on your hand, just like that. So go ahead and do that.
Ooh, a nice amount there. But officer, I was on a tour.
Exactly. All right.
It's hand sanitizer.
Get that sound of
Exactly.
for the podcast people. Can you hear the sound of us rubbing our hands together with booze in it?
Yes. And then next thing you would do is you would go ahead and you want to take a big whiff to make sure it's at least 50% alcohol. 1, 2, 3, big whiff. Go. Good reaction.
Yeah. Is your eyes supposed to go crossed?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Next thing you do.
I didn't catch it across that.
Jazz hands.
Oh well.
Do it again.
Do it again.
You can do it. Reenact.
So jazz hands it out. What's happening is why you won't smell like alcohol is because the ethanol is evaporating.
Yeah. Right.
Second test, you would go ahead and say, did you really age it in a New Chart American oak barrel?
Yeah, because that's what I'm going to ask when I'm
right.
wanting to get into a
Right.
speakeasy.
Exactly. Well, you have to inspect it too.
Right. Right. Oh, the clapper.
Now take a whiff.
Beautiful.
New Chart American oak barrel, you get that grain.
Hey, Woody.
That one doesn't cross my eyes. It's a nice smell.
I wish my
It's pleasant.
gel smelled like that.
Yeah, I haven't. They never uncrossed. Get kicked by a mule, eyes go crossed, fall down a well, they go back again.
Now you wave it out right now. And again, they call us applauding in whiskey. I want to applaud the Man Cave Happy Hour podcast. Thank you guys for coming down. All the viewers that are watching, come on down to Detroit City Distillery. Let's check that mash grain now. If your hand smells like a barn, it's the right answer. 1, 2, 3. Take a big whiff.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's a fun little game.
Great.
68% corn, 27% rye, 5% barley.
It's awesome.
Now the difficult part is over. Let's go ahead
And drink.
and cheers.
Cheers.
So you're
Come
going to
on
get what they
down.
call an attack, rise, and fall. Nice little burn. Breathe in, you got the rise. Breathe out, you get the fall.
Cheers to you, Garrett, in this great tour.
Cheers. No, thank you guys.
Thank you. Awesome.
Cheers
Come
to the
on
whole
down.
Man Cave Happy Hour podcast.
Matt Fox,
Attack.
you really missed a good one today, Matt Fox.
Rise,
Yeah.
fall. Fun quote that I always tell everyone. Great comedian and whiskey drinker always said way back in the 30s, always carry a flask of whiskey in case of a snake bite. Furthermore, always carry a snake, folks. Thank you again, everyone.
Well, you're Jamie Flanagan.
You're August Gitschlag.
I am still. And thank you for sticking with us for another episode of the Man Cave Happy Hour.
I want to thank everyone, too, from Man Cave Happy Hour. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, August, Jennifer, and Spencer.
And
thank all of
Detroit,
you.
And thank
Detroit
our-
City Distillery for opening your doors.
Yes,
Thank
our
you.
back of the house folks. Great job today, Spencer. Great job. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Can I try the rum?